Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got a very interesting knife review / knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Kershaw Livewire OTF. This is Kershaw's very first OTF ever, apparently. It is made in the USA. We have aluminum and CPM 20CV, and when we're considering what its actual competition is, the price is actually very competitive. I'm gonna link this knife right down below. By the time you guys are watching this, it should be available. I'll link it down there, no promises. You guys can check it out if you want. Thanks so much to Kai USA for supplying this knife for review. Thanks so much to my patrons for supporting me, and please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. Let's get some specs because I've got a lot that I want to say about this thing. Overall length of the Livewire, so happy about this. I actually measured it off camera. 8 inches. Thank you. Thank you for not doing like a weird, tiny, this is what I think the majority of people wanted to see. Like people who were like, that'd be neat if Kershaw made an OTF, right? This is what they would have wanted to see. A nice, like kind of the average definition of full size or full length. 8 inches with a 3.25 inch blade and a 3 1/8, well, it's a little more than that, 3.3 inch cutting edge. Good size, very good size. Let's put it up against the knife that everybody knows it's going to compare to, and that's the Microtech Ultratech. This is almost exactly the same overall length as the Ultratech. I mean, it is almost identical. It's missing one thing, and I'm going to applaud Kershaw for this. Guys, it doesn't have a glass breaker. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. It doesn't have a glass breaker. Finally, someone was like, you know what? What if we made an OTF and we just didn't put a glass breaker on it, right? Oh my, genius. God, I'm so sick of there just needing to be a glass breaker on the back of every single OTF. Thank you. For the love of God. Thank you so much. Let's put it up against the Ontario Rat Model 1 and the Ontario Rat Model 2. So you can see here it's a fairly slender profile. That's kind of the name of the game when it comes to an OTF. But yeah, there you go. Slender profile, kind of in between, closer to the size of the Rat 1. Let's put it up against the Demco AD 20.5. Here we go. Fantastic. How about up against the Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Para 3? There we go. Definitely closer to the size of the PM2. And then last but not least, let's put it up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue, and the Benchmade Bug Out. Alrighty. How's the action? Boy, that's definitely, it's a big thing no matter what, but with OTFs, right, there's a specific crispiness that is to be expected. You know, sure, let's say we can get around the fact, because believe me, I know, guys, I know that there's going to be a huge group of people going, that much money for a Kershaw, as if the fact that the name Kershaw being on the knife somehow changes their costs of manufacturing. It is an OTF. It is a USA OTF utilizing CPM 20CV and aluminum. And I'm happy to say that the manufacturing execution here is on par with its competition. So no, there's no like magic, like poof, it's Kershaw priced, right? No, it doesn't work like that. So it is, if you compare it with its competition, very, very competitive. But what's just as important is, does it fire? Does it operate in the same arena, right? Actually, yeah, it fires really well. In fact, I really like this because it reminds me, it's not the exact same thing as the Guardian Tactical Recon 35, but the ease of operation and the friendliness to the finger is there. For some reason, that slide is very easy to operate, but the throw is powerful and makes that mechanical, that noise that we want to see. I like that. There's only a little bit of rattle in the open position, and I think it's just from the minimal blade play, and it is minimal. I mean that. I'm going to compare this directly with my Ultratech, which, by the way, was produced in 2021, if you can see that right there. It is exactly the same. It is exactly the same. Play in the button in the open position, identical. Play in the button in the closed position. There's honestly more in the Microtech. Listen. This guy's noisier, right? The action feels just as powerful as the Ultratech, but this guy is way, way easier to throw. This is knocked down. Come on there. There we go. This is knocked down a little bit more, so it's not, we don't quite have the prehistoric alligator teeth attacking our finger. And then the prominence of this peak, I think maybe is it a tad higher? No, it just comes off that way. I don't know. For some reason, I can just get more traction here. This is better. The ease of manipulation is better. The firing power is the same as the Ultratech. And lockout solidity is exactly the same as the Ultratech. Yes, the action is fantastic. I am so happy with that. I'm so happy that this does not feel flimsy, that it doesn't feel like they cut corners. It feels good. There is no hint of, like an accidental failure or something like that. But, when that inevitably does happen, because it is an OTF, and that happens with every OTF down the road, especially if you plan to use it, you spray it down with some REM oil, right? I don't know if Kershaw uses the exact same stuff, but I've been using REM oil on my Microtechs forever, and it has worked great. So the action is absolutely fantastic. I'm really, really happy with that. Let's go ahead and do carry profile. Thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. You can see here it's actually not super thick. Let's put it up against the Ultratech. Is the Ultratech actually, I think they're almost they're essentially exactly the same, right? So that's nice. Length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3. I think it goes without saying this is going to be an easy object to carry, and not just because of its profile. We'll get to the other reason here in a little bit. Let's go ahead and measure blade stock thickness here real quick. Knocking stuff off my desk, sorry. Pay no mind to the noises in the background. So the garage door is also going off. That's great. Let's go ahead and measure here. Blade stock thickness is coming in at 120 thousandths. Can we read that right there? That's about what I expected. Materials. Like I said, CPM 20 CV. That's fantastic. CPM 20 CV and aluminum. And then we have steel for the internal chassis. So weight. I think we should weigh the Ultratech first. The Ultratech weighs 3.49 ounces. How much does the Livewire weigh? Ooh, 3.03. That gives it an almost perfect 1-to-1 ratio, actually better than perfect 1-to-1 ratio when we're considering overall blade length to inches of blade length to ounces of weight. Very good. Very, very good. Very happy with that. And on top of that, as I'm sure you've noticed, we can actually get into this thing because we have torque screws. Let's go ahead and do a hardware check. I'll get out my tools. As per usual, my tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use on this channel. I am almost certain that those are T6, and I would have just been over the moon had they been T8, but you can't always get what you want. I know Kershaw really loves those T6 screws for some reason. Yeah, they're T6. Hey, but you know what? We can get into it. And 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 5. There's only 5. They managed to construct this with one less screw than is traditional with an OTF, right? Usually we have 6 in the case of Microtech, and then we have those stupid tri-wing. They look cool, right? They look cool, but you gotta have the thing for it, right? So dumb. But yeah, no, you can get into this. And OTFs, the first venture into an OTF is a little, I'm not going to say take it apart, right? I would consult with Kershaw first. But if for some reason you just are absolutely forced to, you can get into it, and it's not really that complicated. Again, if you want to keep your warranty intact, don't tell them Metal Complex said it's okay to take it apart. No, don't do that. Talk with Kershaw first, right? They made it. They supply the warranty, so make sure you talk with them so you don't screw it up. Anyways, is that it? Is that everything? I think so. Let's go ahead and talk about this. Here's another thing that I want to say thank you very much. So Kershaw, I kind of, started as many of you, I started my venture in, unknowing at the time, I started my venture into the enthusiast knife world with a Kershaw. The Kershaw Blur, right? I remember buying that thinking, ooh, black tanto serrated. Yeah, because I'm a ninja at heart and whatever, right? The same reason we all buy pocket knives initially. Don't pretend. That's why, right? It's okay to admit that, right? There's still, that part of me still very much exists. But I bought that thinking like, yeah, that's cool. I don't know anything about knives, but it looks cool. It just happened to actually be a good knife. I got really lucky, and that set a great example for me because I realized, wow, this knife actually seems to be doing a lot better over time versus the other crap that I've had, you know. And so that's what, you know, got me to learn. Kershaw has made some things that have a nice, clean, utilitarian aesthetic. They have made some, some more adventurous things that still have that functional, overall ergonomic aesthetic, and they have the nice, clean knife look, but it's got a little bit more kind of zazz and a little more spice to it. And then they make stuff that I have no idea who it's for. It literally looks like, like two spaceships went at it in outer space and one destroyed the other, and then that junk floated, to eventually orbit some other mass, and then it accumulated together and made another mass, and then some alien race found it and used it to slap onto a knife frame and turn it into a knife. I'm like, what? Why? Why does this have all these panels and things, right? What I'm trying to say here is that this is a good, clean aesthetic. We've got some things here, some milling lines here that give it a little bit of character, right? But not too much. They didn't go overboard. This is such a good look. They didn't try to be weird and do, it just, they pumped the brakes a little bit, right? They said, let's do our thing, but let's pump the brakes a little bit. Thank you. This is nice. It looks good. It's ergonomic. It feels good, right? This is, it's comfortable. And I'll tell you what, this clip, or you look at this and you're like, hey, you need to tighten that clip back up. No, it's tight. This is the angle it's supposed to be at. That angle, there's a few things about the clip, right? Let me go ahead, and since we're on the topic of praising this thing. Number one, thank you for not making a gigantic clip. I don't know what the deal is where, designers, they're like, make a knife. Okay, so we got the nice ergonomic profile. We have the nice blade profile. Yeah, everything looks clean. Okay, and so here's what we want to do. I want to take a regular pocket clip, but let's elongate it just to the point where it's absolutely ridiculous and it totally covers the entire frame of the knife, right? And that way, it's way too big, creates incredible discomfort in the hand, and at the end of it, let's go ahead and put a bill that just right into your, no, they didn't do that. I don't know why. We don't need these big, long, crazy, right? Unless you're like, listen, I'm a helicopter jumper out of her, right? So I need my knife to stay secure in the pocket. So I need a bit. Okay, fine. Then you need a gigantic pocket clip and multiple carabiners probably. But for the rest of us, for the vast majority of us, a nice short clip that is maybe a quarter the length, up to 30% the length of the handle, right? This is great. Love that. Not digging into your hand. Not just because of the length, but because of the slight swoop. That's a slight bill. A slight bill. It's nice, right? On top of that, it looks a little quirky hanging off to the side here, but let me tell you, if you watch the unboxing, I thought that's the cant, right? It's clearly meant to be accommodating, the angle that you push it into your pocket, and boy, is it. Now, all of a sudden, I'm going to want knives that have this, if they have a similar profile, I'm going to want the pocket clip to be angled. This is nice and it works. It was immediately apparent to me why they did this. That pocket clip is essentially perfect. I could not be happier with their choice of how they did that pocket clip. And yeah, it's a simple stamped clip, but you know what? It wraps all the way up on top. To my knowledge, let me think about this. If you flipped it around, it would be, no, you know what? Let me think. If it goes here, it's angled that way. If it goes here, I don't know. I think it would have to be flipped over to the other side. But it should angle down and work the other way. For some reason, my brain can't comprehend like mirroring something. So whatever. But I would imagine, based on how this is mounted, that it can simply be flipped over to the other side, right? And it has to be. That clip is great, right? It looks good. It's nice and short. It's not doing anything weird or crazy. They added a little bit of zazz to it. Not much. Just really good. Really good. Ergonomics on this thing are great. I mean, as good as an OTF can be. It's not a hand-melting experience, but no OTF ever is. As far as OTF ergonomics go, this is one of the more comfortable ones that I have handled. Every edge, every corner has been knocked down. This aluminum has a little bit of a chalky, it's got to be a Type 3 hard coat anodizing, right? But it's got a little bit more of a chalky feeling than the smooth, cold Microtech surface. I can't say that it feels more or less quality, right? It doesn't feel higher or lower quality. It doesn't create more or less drag. I don't know, maybe a little bit more because it feels a little bit more chalky. It's more so the lines here and these little areas of jimping, which are functional, right, that lock you in. And so the lock-in is good and I feel secure and comfortable. You can get right up next to the edge if you want to. They've done that. If you do have to squeeze on it, this switch is not sharp and aggressive. You can see here they have knocked every single corner down. Very nice. Just really good. It's just really good. I like it. I like it a lot. Let's move on to the blade. Kershaw in the past has, sometimes their blades come out a little bit goofy, a little bit grape nuts. I don't know how else to describe it, but the bevel on this was done correctly. It's nice and even. We have a simple tumbled finish. We have that, I don't know how to describe it, the Kershaw curvature, right? Where it looks like it's going to be a drop point, and then it turns into this kind of, right? The nose is pointed down a little bit. Kershaw does that a lot with a lot of their stuff. A lot of collaborations they've done with people end up looking like that, and a lot of their in-house designs, which, by the way, this is, you can see the symbol right there. A lot of their in-house designs are like that. I like it because it allows you to more easily accomplish a draw cut, right? It is relatively thick behind the edge, but then again, it's like every single OTF ever is going to be like that to some degree because there's not a lot of room here, right? But boy, it does slice. Not really much of an issue. I mean, for an OTF, this is, again, it's on the better side. Again, people like to point out, it's just paper. Yeah, your mileage is obviously going to vary depending on what you're cutting. Thank you. Goodness. Without you, no one ever would have come to that conclusion, right? Yeah, obviously if you cut thick cardboard, styrofoam, rubber, it depends on what you're cutting. But as far as the factory edge, whether or not this edge is capable of slicing something as thin and delicate as paper, yeah, it does a pretty good job. So you'll have to use your imagination, right, and general expertise when you're trying to imagine it cutting something else. It does a good job, though. It is CPM 20 CV. I have absolutely no idea how this is heat treated, but I don't think I've heard a lot about Kershaw screwing up their heat treat. I've heard about some goofy ZT heat treats. I remember there was a thing with S35VN there for a little bit, but that was a long time ago. I don't know. I would like to find out that their bare minimum for the 20 CV is 60 Rockwell, like a 60 to 62 range. That'd be great, but I don't know. Fortunately, there are other people in this community who are very good at that because they have equipment. They know what they're talking about. Transparent Knives is one of those people, right? There's a lot of other people. So hopefully it comes back that the heat treat on this thing is very good. But yeah, the blade looks good. And you know what? Pretty minimal billboarding. It just says Kershaw Auto. And on the other side, there's a little bit, 20 CV, 9,000 Diskin. Okay. I thought that was an in-house. Is Diskin the name of the collaborative design effort? I don't know. And then the serial number, right? And that's it. This is serial number 634, so I would imagine they made a lot of them, which is good because this is very good. This is Kai USA. This is an actual USA-made auto. There are a lot of companies out there pretending to make their knives in the United States, right? Ours is USA-made and it's only $80 because we're a good, honest company and we're not trying to rip anybody's face. Nope. It's rebranded Chinese stuff, right? You take a little look at whatever. I know the brands. Take a look. Get a good hard look at that model and then go over to AliExpress and tell me you're not finding the exact same thing. Well, those are clones. No, they're the exact same thing rebranded. That's what's happening. That's why they're so inexpensive. This is an actual USA-made OTF, right? So we're only going to be comparing it with other actual USA-made OTFs. Anyways, good blade profile, good blade length, good handle length, good handle thickness, handle girth. Ooh, I hate that word. Handle comfort, right? Good pocket clip, good position in the pocket, good action, good lockout. No glass breaker. Thank you. Well, what if I need to break glass? I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea. I've just never found myself in that situation. Everything here looks good. You know, even the seam, because these OTFs do come to seams. Even the seam, you know, it's off to one side. And what I kind of like here is that they have done other things to draw your attention away from that seam. But the seam itself is, everything meets up. All of these lines here, every last one of them, it meets up. Nothing looks weird. This is really good. Now, I gotta admit, I was really hoping, boy, the closer they get that price tag to $200, the better it's gonna be, if it's legit. Because the real competition, in my mind, Axial Shift, Guardian Tactical Recon 35, Microtech Ultratech, right? Now, I don't know what the Axial Shift is priced at right now. I can't remember, but I think it's close. These come in at $239, and I know that the knee-jerk reaction is going to be, $239 for a Kershaw, I'm used to spending $40. Yeah, you're used to spending $30 to $40 on a folding, you know, Kershaw that's probably not made in the United States, and you found it in the Walmart display. Is that really the same thing? Is that really apples to apples, right? It's because it says Kershaw on it. And I'll tell you, the reason I know that that's what's in your head is because that's what was initially in my head. And I'm trying to get that, you know, I associate Kershaw with the sub $150 territory, and I associate ZT, or zero tolerance, with the premium end, or the over $200 territory, right? So it's going to be difficult, right? I don't know why we have to do such incredible mental gymnastics to get around that, because really the answer is simple. It's made in the USA, it's made out of premium materials, and they obviously tried really hard at it. That price is competitive. I gotta admit, I would have been over the moon. Every dollar closer to $200 would have made me that much happier. But I can't be too upset about that price tag. Does it absolutely blow my mind? No, but it's pretty good. It's a pretty good price tag. And as it sits, I can absolutely recommend this. It's going to be hard for some people to go, do I want to pay $240 for the Kershaw Livewire, or do I want to pay $270 or $275 for the Guardian Tactical Recon 35? I can give you a reason, right? I mean, number one, the aesthetic is going to do it for some people and not the other. Number two, I will say Kershaw is doing a way better job, way more consistent when it comes to their cutting bevels. Guardian Tactical Recon, has a really interesting build. They have great overall quality for the money. They've got the great sliding action that's unique to Guardian Tacticals, the bearing slider, right? Still, in my opinion, the easiest operation on the market. But my God, their cutting bevels just drive me crazy. They are so thin or so thick in some areas. They just are not getting that down. Their blade finishes are also pretty subpar, right? So weigh that in. The Microtech Ultratech, that's going to have the best fit and finish of between all of them. But, you know, what do they want for those now? $290, $295, $300, $310? Something like that, right? The Livewire is worth consideration. Had they priced this at $220, I would have said hands down this is best US, like this is the best price in the market, right? I would have just been, that's what I was hoping. $220 or less. Had they priced it at $220 or less, I'd have been like, this is it. They did it. They did it! Right? That's what it would have been, but this is pretty good, okay? As it sits, very recommendable. This is the time. If you're going to go for an OTF, right? American manufacturing, if that's important to you, consider this one. Consider it. It's very, very good. All right. That's going to be pretty much it today. Thanks again to Kershaw for sending us in. I will make sure that this is linked right down below so you guys can check it out if you want to. Please Make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like. So check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.